I think my 21F father, 51M, is really affecting my mental health and possibly driving me towards an ed. Hello everyone. First of I am really sorry if the format is tiring to read. I am writing this from a phone, but I will try my best to keep it as cohesive and readable as possible. Bear with me. For some context, my parents are divorced and my father is married again with another lady. He and his wife have been teasing me since I was a child because I was chubby, which made me feel really bad and I felt gross in my own skin. I started eating just one salad per day and I used to go swimming with my clothes on because I was ashamed. All these things happened while you was about 10 to 11. I feel like it is worth mentioning, my father's wife has a niece, and we used to hang out all together. That niece was a person that wouldn't gain any weight no matter how much she ate. They used to compare us to each other and make remarks about how chubby I was and how scrawny she was and how me and her are polar opposites. I am 100% sure she must have felt insecure about herself as well and maybe still is. I am not a naturally small-framed person, but I have never been significantly chubbier than the normal weight for my height. For example, right now I am about 1,68 and the ideal weight, approximately, for my height is 59 kilograms. The most I have ever weighted is 67 kilograms, 6 months ago, which is 8 kilos more than the standard but still nothing extreme. My father's wife is not a psychologist, but my father thinks she is. She took a couple of classes while in college. Her degree isn't even on this field, but he only listens to her advice even if I mention that the way he treats me is hurtful. He thinks she always knows best. So, throughout my teenage years I was a quite curvy person, and I freaking loved it. I honestly don't know where all that confidence was coming from, but you need it back. My father kept reminding me throughout all my years that I need to lose weight, or that I had gained again, and if I told him that I was happy with myself, which was true, his response was, "One day you will regret this and be self-conscious." His comments didn't affect my confidence, but they were really annoying regardless. Skipping forward to 2 months ago, I decided to get more active, so I started walking about 1 hour per day to improve my stamina. Although my father applauded my efforts at first as a step towards the right direction, later on he kept making comments that although my legs were getting a bit skinnier, I needed to lose fat elsewhere too. Now, with my mental health not being at its best, due to COVID and other stuff, his comments had finally started to get to me. So I decided to exercise more and more and start dieting. It started innocently enough, with me excluding fried food, butter and sugar from my diet. I started losing some weight, and when he heard about that, he started calling every day to make sure I was walking as much as I needed to, asking what I ate and how much I ate and making comments about what I should stop eating. At this point I am viewing food as something toxic, and feel guilty every time I eat. I subconsciously count calories every time I consume something and immediately go like, damn, that's too much even if I am munching on a tomato. I am currently at 53 kilograms approximately, meaning I lost more than 10 kilograms in 1.5 months, which is really harmful. I constantly feel hungry and guilty at the same time, and I am very concerned that this might become an ed eventually. I know I am weak-minded and susceptible. I have struggled with OCD before for years. I also know I should visit an expert, and I will when this quarantine is over. But for now I just feel like I should stay far away from him because he is really harmful to me. My mom says that he is my father and I shouldn't shut him off. We should talk things out. Peas. I don't know if this is relevant or not, but my father isn't exactly a skinny person either. Either a fat one, slightly chubby, as I used to be. He also keeps eating junk very often, yet criticizes me every time I do so. I am not saying he should encourage me to eat junk, but there is always a middle way. Doctor, my father has been making remarks about my weight since I was a kid, and now I am afraid I might end up with anorexia. Man, that is so rough. If you need to take a break for a time from a parent to sort things out, that's okay. Your priority in life needs to be you. You don't need to cut your dad out. It's fine to take a break from the relationship and be more distant until you can have more support. I think that you need a break from these destructive and toxic people in your life, and figure out what your goals are. Best of luck, heart. I think your father is projecting all his insecurities onto you. You mentioned that he himself is not slim and eats junk food, but criticizes when you do the same thing. Feel like he has weight issues he's never solved in his life and is making sure to live vicariously through you now. Anyways, even if you don't want to cut off your father forever, cut him off until your relationship with food is not toxic and you gain confidence back. You cannot be letting him drive you into losing 10 kilograms in a month. That's insanely unhealthy and you can land in hospital. Take care of your health first. Love, I think you already have an Ed. Your dad sounds incredibly toxic and I think the best bet would be to cut him out entirely or at least set clear boundaries where, when he talks about your body or eating habits, you leave the conversation. I strongly recommend you find a therapist ASAP to help with setting those boundaries and also nipping this disordered eating in the bud. Sending huge hugs your way. Please, for the sake of your life, cut him off. It doesn't have to be forever, but you have already seemed to have developed some disordered eating. Don't let him speak of your weight at all until you have this sorted out. Better yet, don't ever let him speak of your weight again regardless. Set that boundary. If he crosses it, maybe cut him off for good. Eds can kill you, let it be old age that gets you. Also, please consider finding a therapist who has a specialty in Eds. Please be careful not to go down that path. Honestly, this sounds like you've already got an Ed. You need to start laying down the groundwork to get out. Cutting him off might not work. Generally, when people are this hell-bent on controlling your diet and appearance, they don't respond well to revoked access. Were I in your shoes, I'd act like everything is fine and actively ignore the weight remarks. This is how I handled a really overbearing person I couldn't just cut out or cuss out. Stop reacting to them. In fact, when you hear one, try to give yourself a compliment in your head. Be as aggressive about loving yourself as he is about making you hate your body. Over time, you'll have the confidence to start pushing back. Prepare yourself to leave ASAP, and get out. You can 100% start therapy now, virtually, but you need to make sure your shitty dad won't be able to hear you. I would strongly recommend you change your media diet. Start feeding yourself non-fat phobic content, figure out how to eviscerate every dumb argument he could come up with, and try to start learning that your body is enough as it is now. I don't think you're weak-minded or susceptible. I think you've been berated by two shitheads for a really long time, and you're not getting enough calories and your body is feeling it. Good luck, Op. Thank you for your comment, I really do. My mother has never fat-shamed me. I would actually say she used to be the source of my confidence during my teenage years. 26F with boyfriend 42M. Wondering whether to end this. Sorry this is long, just had to get it off my chest as I've been feeling so confused. I've been in a relationship with this guy for 4 months now. He's really sweet overall. I didn't realize his age until the 6th date. The age doesn't bother me at all. What attracted me initially was how kind and caring was. Really attentive listener. During the first few dates, he never forcefully came onto me. This is a big plus as I've been on dates with guys who are overly eager or get sexual very fast and it really turns me off. He seemed like the sweetest guy. I thought I'd found the one. Physically, if I'm honest, he's not my type looks-wise. He has a nice smile but I never found him physically appealing when we first met. But I was getting over a past relationship where my ex was conventionally hot but could be really unpleasant in personality. Looks aren't everything. And how I perceive a guy's looks changes over time, based on his personality. So I grew to find him more and more attractive, and am now really attached to him. It's not love for me yet, but close. He told me he was in love with me by the 2nd month. I couldn't say it back, so I told him I cared about him too. He said he understands and doesn't want to pressure me. He can be very warm, appreciative, caring, sensitive and is a great lover. However, from day one he's kind of fixated on my looks. Like really over the top compliments or drooling. Saying he's lucky because I'm a 9 or a 9.5 and that I have his ideal body type. He says he likes really slim women with large curves and that I have a gorgeous face too. Now, initially I found the attention kind of charming, but I tend to find the habit of rating girls really tacky and demeaning, but I thought it was the only supposedly shallow thing he said. He's always touching or kissing or groping or staring or feeling my butt or commenting on my boobs. It's 4 months into dating and I'm feeling like maybe that's the main attraction he has towards me. Even though he says he loves my attitude and personality, I'm not convinced anymore. Sometimes in the middle of a date while I'm talking he'll just zone out, like he's not listening to what I'm saying or is looking at my lips or chest. Or will just interrupt with "God you're gorgeous" or "your eyes sparkle so much" or some other compliment about my boobs or body. He keeps sending surprise gifts, like he's afraid I'll leave him. Don't get me wrong, he's very caring 99% of the time, and constantly texts me to make sure I'm safe or say he's missing me, but it feels a bit suffocating at times. I'm a graduate student, but sometimes he says he wishes I was a waitress instead. When I asked why, he said it was because then I would be more available, and he says he likes to be the provider. Whatever this means, I have a scholarship and want to earn my own money. My goals in life don't seem that important to him, or maybe I'm being paranoid. Whenever I talk about my deadlines, he just brushes it off and says I'll do great. He puts a lot of pressure to see me even during the busiest times. He says he won't interrupt my studying, he'll just get me snacks or hang around to help. I find it hard to say no when he's being sweet, and he gets insecure if I tell him I'm genuinely busy and can't see him that week. I'm starting to wonder whether he really cares about me or some abstract ideal. He's also becoming quite controlling. Then there's the groping. Sometimes when we're at a restaurant, he will purposely pretend he dropped something on the street outside, will tell the waiter to hold our seats, grab me and then publicly grope me on the street, where all the other passers-by can see. At first I laughed, but then I felt creeped out. He also doesn't like it when I wear form-fitting jeans and tops because he thinks they look too sexy and it could be sending the wrong signal to other guys. First of all, I dress quite appropriately, and not that differently than other co-ed, and I do like fashion and don't like how controlling he is about what I should wear. He is very possessive BTW, and engages in a lot of PDA. Other guys stare as he gropes me and he has this smirk on his face and I just feel a bit embarrassed. I've told him so, but he just says, ignore them, they're jealous, and he can't help himself. Sometimes he even gets a pre-cum stain on his jeans during these times. It's not obvious though. It's flattering in private but honestly kind of embarrassing in public for me. I feel like I'm on public display sometimes. When we're watching TV shows, he compares me to the women on screen and keeps on rating. She's a 10. But you're a 9.5. Or, she's not as hot as you. Or she's an 8, you're a 9. Or she's a bit hotter because I like redheads, but you're both in the 9 to 10 category. I honestly find this extremely tacky and annoying, and it makes me wonder if he just sees women as a species. When he saw me naked, he was extremely turned on and very loving, which was great, but the first thing he said was that he got his very own Playboy centerfold dream come true, which felt like an impersonal thing to say. He's told me I'm the most stunning girl he's ever slept with, so sometimes he gets nervous and says the wrong things or overdoes it. He says that he wants to marry me eventually, which scares me as it's only been 4 months. But it feels like he's a bit dismissive about my other goals or priorities. In every other way, he's a truly great guy, but currently I'm not feeling the initial connection. I just feel like I'm being objectified all the time and he doesn't really see me for the person I am. He will strongly deny it, but it's just a feeling. Feeling really confused about whether I should end this, because the first few months he seemed really interested in me as a person and not superficial at all. Too long didn't read, wondering if I should continue seeing boyfriend despite his incessant groping, objectifying comments about my body. In general, I don't like the constant rating of my looks, even if it's complimentary, or the handsy, exhibitionist behavior and possessiveness. For any guys out there reading this, is this a sign he doesn't care? Will it settle down over time? Should I just appreciate how great he is in other ways and just let it go? /update. Thank you all so much for the advice and responses. I've decided to end this. I'm planning on doing it over the phone, as I want to be able to do this while in control. Thank you all so much again. My 25F family are threatening to disown me if I keep my baby. I am 17 weeks pregnant. Originally, when I told my family, they were very happy for me and supportive. Until 2 weeks ago, when they found out who the dad is. He is my ex and my family absolutely hate him because, in my dad's words, he's a disrespectful little sh/t who thinks he's better than the rest of us. When we were dating, my ex clashed constantly with my dad and older brother. In my family, my dad is used to everyone doing what he says and not standing up to him, but my ex is outspoken and stood up to my dad a lot. So, my family absolutely hated him and were ecstatic when we broke up because they saw him as disrespectful and arrogant. So, when I found out I was pregnant, I purposely didn't tell them who the dad was. I didn't even tell my ex initially because I knew things would get messy when he found out. I finally told him 2 weeks ago, and even though I asked to meet him outside in public, he turned up to my parents' house unannounced. There was a huge argument which ended with my dad threatening to call the police on my ex. Now, my family have been constantly pressuring me to either get an abortion, which is shocking considering the fact that they're very religious, or to put the baby up for adoption if I can't go through with an abortion. Pressure got so bad I had to go back home just to get some space from everyone's constant nagging. When I left, my dad told me that if I chose to keep this baby, my family would have nothing to do with me. He said they wouldn't be tied to a man like my ex or his family, and when he got bored of me, my family wouldn't be there to pick up the pieces again. I've spent the whole time crying my eyes out because I don't know what to do. I want to keep this baby, but the thought of never talking to my family again terrifies me. I also don't want to rely on my ex, and whilst I know he'll be a good dad, I don't want to expect too much in case he disappoints me. What do I do? How can I fix things with my family? Too long didn't read. My family absolutely hate my ex and are no longer happy about my pregnancy after finding out he is the father. Now they're threatening to disown me if I don't get an abortion or put the baby up for adoption.